Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk, episode 554. Recorded today, Wednesday, the 17th of October, 2018. This is a podcast that's basically all to do with music technology, studios, live performance, software, controllers, synthesizers, electronic music, and all the stuff that surrounds it. So plenty to talk about, even if there's no news. But there is news this week, but we'll get onto that in a sec. I want to say also thank you to iZotope. Give you a quick flash there. Going to be providing a competition prize. You can win RX7, which is the kind of industry standard of audio restoration and repair stuff. They've got a musician's version or music production version, which just does a whole bunch of things that you're going to find really, really useful, including now in RX7, the new stuff of being able to rebalance music, remove vocals. And it's not like that old kind of center phase cancel stuff. It's very clever and interesting. Gaz told a story last week about it. Where he used it to great effect. But we won't revisit that. But that chuckle there meant I can introduce my guest, because it's me and Gaz this week, because everybody's busy, which is fine. So Gaz Williams there in Bristol, music producer, music technologist, songwriter, and what was the last thing? Oh yeah, you did the interview with who was it? We did the last thing you did. Oh yeah, the Novation SL Mark III piece. That
very nice. Yeah. That's cool. And we've got our Omnisphere thing as well that we've done.
Yeah. I just did you see that? I sent the link out for that yesterday. Send it to. So far, so good. Eric and James both said, "Oh, that's good." They're just checking it because we did it quite freeform, didn't we? So there might be the occasional factual inaccuracy. And I've got it here. Look, we did a jam at the end. Hold on, let me just throw that up there. This was a bit of our jam. I did play this last week, and we hooked up 4 keyboards and then just basically at the end of it just wigged out. But I'll leave that as a teaser. But yeah, it was fun. It was good fun. I'm looking forward to that going out there. What have you been up to then, Gaz? Anything exciting this week?
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I just made a pop video where I've directed it with help with Rick Alpin as well, for none other than Finlay Shakespeare, actually, the man himself of Future Sound Systems. It's he's got an album coming out, and he's off on tour as well. He's got the Blancmange tour support. So Finlay, who may be familiar to you, we've done a few videos with him. He's fantastic sort of modular, and he's got a new synth out actually. That was launched at Synthfest. It's a complete synthesizer for 99 quid kit. So
yes,
put a little
right.
plug in there for him.
What was it called? Brunswick. That's right.
Brunswick. Yeah, really cool. But the thing I think it's going to surprise people. Finlay is an absolutely brilliant performer, and so we shot a video. But the thing about this that I really enjoyed, though, I had a dream about making a video with Finn, and I had only met Finn a few times, I think, at that point. And I went out this one night, and I saw Finn, and I said, "Finn, I had a dream about you." And in my dream, we were making a pop video. So he said he had a song coming out. So I said, why did we do it then? And we went to the location where I had the dream, which was down by the riverbank. So it's really weird. I actually had this dream, and then it became the reality.
Became a reality.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So it's like, that was really fun to do. It was a little bit like, whoa, but it's come out really cool, and it's a bit of a new venture for me. But Finlay, his song it's called Routine. I don't know when it's going to come out, but it is absolutely stomping. It's so good. So
I look forward to that. In fact, there's also a video, a real long form video with Milo Melodies, Why We Bleep in his series. It's like 2.5 hours of them, nearly 3 hours of them in conversation, which I didn't get a chance to watch it all, but yeah.
Finlay's a star, though, honestly. He's absolutely brilliant. So I think people are going to see a lot more of him, and it's really exciting to sort of... His song is absolutely top, though. It's watch out for it.
It's a great story too. Fun. If it becomes a massive hit, you'll be able to recount the fact that you dreamt it and then you had a chance meeting. I mean, that's PR gold, Gaz.
That's what happened. So it was just cool. But it's just it's come out really good. I think Finlay's a brilliant performer. So, but for me, it was a lot of fun. Just sort of playing the role of a director a little bit, which is something I haven't done in that context before. And Rick Alpin was really helpful as well. Do you know what though? We both had identical Osmo sort of gimbal cameras, so just 2 iPhones on a gimbal camera. And out in the country, you can just, that's such a powerful, brilliant way of taking footage. Is absolutely brilliant, so fluid and simple. Yeah. So anyway, that video will be out soon. So I'll have to get. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the date when it's going to be out, but
that's all right.
I think it's sometime this month.
Maybe it'll come to you in a dream. Ta-da!
Yeah,
well,
brilliant.
yes. So what have we been up to this week? Oh, yeah, this week, gosh, well, I was supposed to be reviewing, like I say, I've got the Arturia P-Lab 49, because it's a controller week. We had, because obviously we had the Novation SL Mark III. We've got the Nectar Panorama T4, which I've also had in as a preview. They're going to come down and do a full sort of features. We had a lot of comments about that, people wanting to know about stuff, and I've also reviewing. So it's controller session, and what I've attached this to the Pittsburgh Modular Lifeforms SV1, which is rapidly. Every time I switch it on, I think, oh yeah, this does sound good, doesn't it? And each time I turn it on, it just reinforces how great it's a great sounding synth that is. So that's what I'll be doing. But and I was supposed to film that yesterday, but then we had to apply for our US visas because every 5 years we have to get an I-class visa to go to NAMM, which is a journalist visa. And it took about 3 or 4 hours for us to sort all of that out yesterday when I was supposed to be filming. And it's going to cost... It costs such a lot of money. The only appointments you can get to pick up your visa in London, we're not based in London, is 8 or 8:30. So imagine getting to central London for 8:30 on a weekday morning. It's like a 5 o'clock in the morning start. So we're going up the night before, but it's just turned into this massive pain. But it's only once every 5 years, I suppose. So hey, but we're starting to plan for NAMM.
Plan for NAMM.
Plan for NAMM, yeah. There we go. It's all ready. Okay, well, let's see. What have we got? We've got stuff. Oh, yeah, here's a first one. I think this is... I've queued this up correctly. I certainly hope so. No, I haven't. Oh, yes, that's right, because it's a Kickstarter video, so it won't play on... I couldn't get hold of the video to play it in, so I'll just full screen that, and then we can have a look. This is the new Pipes sampler, which I mean, it's been around.
Sample player
with a degree in physics and signal processing. I've always wanted to develop a technology for sample playback. Now all my efforts have come together, and I'm proud to introduce Pipes,
the ultimate music performance machine. With new technology that out-horsepowers a laptop and outperforms any sample playback unit, Pipes' entire onboard custom sampled sound and instrument library is always loaded and ready to be triggered. And the same goes for your
as far
own
as I could tell, it's hold on, because I have to pause that. Yeah, there we go. So this is a new thing. It's just on Kickstarter, I think, and it seems to be going well. I mean, so far, yesterday it's doubled in the last 24 hours. So they're trying to reach 75 grand. I guess that's dollars because they must do it in dollars. And they've got 28 days to go, and I think they're going to do it no problem. But I just thought, I mean, because it's interesting, isn't it? The way that some Kickstarters go and some don't. And usually it comes down to being a really compelling video. And bless them, I would say that's fine, but it's not a really compelling video. So it must mean that there's a real desire to have something that does this. Because it reminds me a little bit of the Tasty Chips GR1 form factor. It's like some form of microprocessor in there with a touchscreen and a box and stuff.
Yes. So, I mean, it is, it definitely looks like it's going to fulfill a niche. Really clever. I mean, and at the price that the pumping it out for, I mean, it's like
it's $399 for at the moment. $399 for 128 gig version, which is a special offer.
So I mean, like a really, like a dedicated sound module that can do multi-gigabyte sample libraries in a really simple, fantastic. I mean, we've been waiting for something like this for years. There's been a few attempts at this, but this one looks like it might be. Well, I mean. It definitely a contender, because do you know about the tweakers, or as much as do you know what that is, Nick? The tweakers?
No, I don't know. Tell me.
So those are they're sort of like some sort of customizable MIDI routines, I think, that you can create for it. So you're able to now. It's very thin on the ground trying to get this kind of information, but I mean. what instantly was interesting to me was, a big polyphonic granular synthesizer possibilities. I just don't know if that, by just using possibly lots of LFOs across multi.
Right. I think it looks looking at the text here, it looks like because you can run multiple instances of pipes. The pipes is presumably some kind of, I'm guessing some kind of Linux or Arduino based playback engine that you can run multiple environments of in a sort of in a multi-timbral or multi-layered sound. It's only got a pair of audio outs. I don't know whether you get a US. It hasn't got USB. It's got lots of USB ins.
It's got hosting. So that sort of hosting could be a Pi in there, couldn't it? Possibly, but
could be a Pi. Yeah, we don't know for sure. We are speculating.
But, yes, absolutely. But the fact that it's got host capability, though, is definitely suggestive that it is essentially a packaged computer. But it just looks really nice, though. The fact that you've got that big encoder. How good is the touchscreen going to be? That would be one of my questions.
I don't know,
because we're so spoiled these days, aren't we? I mean, like an iPad or something like that, it's so responsive, and we're used to, that's our expectations. So anything that feels sluggish and is going to really sort of irk a little bit, I think. But I don't know. But I don't know how much you would interact with it. But the fact that there's only that one controller would suggest that there's going to be a lot of touchscreen action going on.
Yeah, I mean, which makes you ask the question. Okay, so how much is a 32 gig iPad is probably a little bit less than $399, and with an audio interface, you have multiple outputs and run something that way. I don't know. But
they might have just got it absolutely spot on.
Yeah, that's
as well
true.
With that control system though, because it's like touch the parameter, use the big encoder to adjust it, so you're not having to drag your finger across the screen. You just prodding at things on the screen. That's been one of my pet hates for the magic encoder, where you can touch something and then have a hardware thing and then maybe you can have several things. You can hold several down and group modulate them. That would be cool. But I wonder if that's just maybe on the little information, that would be quite nice. I mean, as a workflow, that would be quite nice. So, but it definitely is an intriguing product, isn't it? I mean, the guy's making sort of quite big claims about it.
Yeah, it's a bit sales. It's but there's lots of the only and the best and all this thing. But I mean, really, but what this will come down to is what's the sound set like? Yeah, you could have 128 gigs of samples, but if they're all crummy, then it doesn't really do much.
I mean, surely do you think the sounds that come with it is a big part of the selling point then?
Well, yeah, if you're not sampling directly and you're not if maybe you don't want to program it yourself. I mean, if it comes with a bunch of sounds, then you want those sounds to be good. And this, as far as I know, this company aren't known for their sample creation, so it's an unknown quantity, I suppose.
I was totally thinking about it though, for just bringing in your own samples, populating it yourself, but that's kind of what. I had some thoughts about what I could do with it.
Yeah, well, I wonder how this is the thing, though. Then you're getting into how are you getting that stuff in there, because you've only got, you'd have to put a drive, you'd have to do something on the computer, save it to a drive, then bring it in somehow from the drive. Yeah. There's no sample input by the looks of things. So it's one step removed from all in the same unit, but that might be fine. You can just move things around on thumb drives, but for some people, they want a bit more immediacy.
I've also got a slight problem with the logo of the smiley face MIDI, because they're looking at you, and I'm just not sure about it.
Oh, that one.
I might.
It looks a bit like Jack the Pumpkin King, doesn't it?
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Well, that's not such a bad thing.
One thing, I'll tell you what. One thing that came up, I was just doing a bit of, and I was looking at the about. Vince DeFranco is the guy behind it. Synesthesia is the company that brought you. But basically, he invented the dimension beam, which was bought by Roland. So he is the inventor of the D-beam. How about that?
Way! Wow, fantastic.
No wonder he's got such a lovely studio, because as we know, Roland must have bought a couple of million of those, because they put them on so many things. We figured, it's been a long-held belief of mine that they have a massive warehouse full of D-beams that they've got to get rid of, because they paid, presumably, Vince so much money to build X number of them, and now they've got to use them all up. So Vince is your guy. That's a joke, obviously. But he's got a lovely looking studio, so maybe if that's, if he's doing well, I mean, good for him. They brought out the D-Beam, something called Iris Synapse, and Mandala drums, and this is now pipes. Yeah.
Oh, the Mandala drums. Wow. Well, it's good. It looks brilliant. I mean, I hope it does very well, because I think it's a clever idea to sort of pitch something in such a functional way. I mean, could be great, couldn't it, for a lot of touring keyboard players, just having something that small, being the hub of your rig.
And of course, they're named after synesthesia. Is it synesthesia or synesthesia? Is where you see
synesthesia.
You see sound. No, you see audio as pictures. Is that where, or sound and
colours,
and vision and colours become interchangeable? They kind of Yeah.
It's Carl Hyde from Underworld. He has synesthesia, and that's a big part of his artistic.
Lots of people who have a very
mindset.
They're very creative, aren't they? Generally.
Yeah.
What else do we need to know about this? So the Kickstarter, 212 backers, 28 days to go. Looks like the best deal is, unless you're into shoes, is the Founders Club Edition Special, which is you get 128 gigs instead of the standard 32. So basically, you have 128 gigs of storage on board. I'm guessing that that's going to be fast RAM that you can load your samples in, and it'll stream from.
I'm tempted, Nick. I am tempted. I have lots of questions though, but I am definitely tempted. It's how it could be quite a cool little brain for a MIDI bass rig. That's.
Yeah, well, I suppose the thing is with all of these things is once you get down to the nitty gritty, and if you're talking about MIDI connectivity.
Yeah,
how fast? Because one thing I have been noticing, and this has not been because I've been deaf to it, but obviously MIDI has quite a lot of latency built into it. So you got anywhere between 10 and 20 milliseconds. And I reviewed a couple of synths recently, and I sort of think that feels, just for some reason, it feels a little bit sluggish. So I measured the sound of me hitting a key on the audio mic, and the sound of the sound coming through. So, the MIDI, the actual sound of the unit compared to me tapping the key. And it was anywhere between, I think it was 10 to 30 milliseconds. That's quite a latency. So, I mean, that variability. And I notice the same, because what I've done on the Akai, not the Akai, Arturia, Keylab, is I've got one voice. I had one voice coming from a MIDI trig and one voice coming from a CV trig, and you could hear that they weren't adjacent. There was a gap between them, so it's interesting. Just putting it out there. It's not that these guys are going to be any, but if it's high for a sampler, it needs to be tight.
But it does support USB, doesn't it? I think, and it's got those USB hosting ports, so could be like an amazing MPE kind of. Like an accompaniment for something like a Linstrument or a keyboard or something.
Oh gosh, what's happened there? It was squeaking. That's weird.
Oh.
Yes. Well, it says 24-bit 48K native audio, 64 stereo voices. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, let's take a break for our friends at iZotope, just because we can do that now. So this is
RX continues to be the industry
RX7.
standard
Let me let them explain.
audio repair for music and post-production. And with RX7, we've introduced groundbreaking new ways to quickly and easily fix and manipulate audio. Take the game-changing Repair Assistant, an intelligent helper that can detect noise, clipping, clicks, hum, and more. Also new in RX7 is Music Rebalance, a powerful source separation tool. Drums too loud? Vocals not loud enough? Let's fix that. You can also create instrumental versions of songs by removing the vocal elements. You can now alter the pitch without affecting the timing of your audio, and conversely, alter the time without affecting the pitch with the new variable time and variable pitch modules. Using the new dialogue contour, you can improve the performance of a line or even create a new performance by altering the pitch contour of the dialogue, therefore adjusting the intonation of the speaker, and introducing Dialogue Dereverb, a module powered by machine learning to reduce the presence of reverberations around dialogue. RX-7, a new frontier in audio repair.
It certainly is. And if you want to get hold of it, you go to iZotope.com / I don't think it is RX. Just go to iZotope.com because I've went / RX7 and I got a 404. So I'm not exactly sure I've been giving the right URL out. But if you go to iZotope.com, it's all over the front page. You'll be able to find out about it. We had a competition last week for the winner of RX7, which we ran last week. And we've got a winner. And they just tweeted, "Pick me," which bizarrely the machine did pick them. So they tweeted the hashtags we were after last week. And the winner from last week is somebody called @Jandrews Sound. That's like J Andrews _sound. So @Jandrews _sound. Get in touch and iZotope will be able to furnish you with a copy of RX7. And of course, we have a competition this week. We're looking for the hashtag vocal removal and the hashtag RX7. Tweet those to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. In fact, if you just take that text, hashtag vocal removal, hashtag RX7 @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc., you'll be entered in the competition. But there are more characters. Fill them up. Fill your boots. Go creative. Let's see what else you got to say. I want to say thank you very much for them to sponsor the show.
Can I say something about it? So I from the jam last week, the microphone was picking up the drums and the percussion was also picking up loads of the room. I just tried that thing in RX where it was just pull out just the drums, and it was really, really interesting because it kind of got rid of all the spill. It made the drum sound slightly sort of weird, and it was it wasn't exactly perfect, but factored in back into the mix. It was like, wow, you can then compress and get it and there's lots of smack on the drums.
Interesting.
And it sucked out the spill, the bleed. I mean, there's a sensitivity control and fiddled around with it a little bit, but that's a bit special to be able to do that, especially
I've got to spend a bit of time with that. I need to mess around with it a bit.
Poof, yeah, it's amazing.
I haven't installed it yet. Usually I'm using it on video stuff here because for things like cutting down if there's a dialogue and it's a bit too roomy, I'll use it to cut that sort of stuff down. I use dialogue denoiser all the time because sometimes one speaker might be a bit quieter, so we have to crank that mic pre and you end up with a bit of noise, so I tend to cut that out of the noise. That's the sort of processing we do. It's great for that sort of thing, for post. I mean, even on the music edition. But anyway, let's see, what do we have now? Oh yeah, you want one of these? This is a fun video. I thought this would be right up your street. So Akai MPK Mini, which is a little MIDI controller, which has done really well for Akai, just a sort of little portable one. And this is one that's got MPK Mini Play, which has got how many sounds in it? It's like I've forgotten how many sounds. 32 sounds, 128 sounds.
Yeah.
Not sure how many voices yet. Built-in speaker. So I think this was in combination with GAC, who are a UK retailer. It's got a sustain pedal input, which is really unusual in one that size. Very cheesy. But yeah, that's just out. So that's that, and it's like 129 quid. I mean, it's a bargain. Here we go. That's what it looks like. I guess this is the sort of thing that might not interest our pro users, but the sort of thing that, if you're nipping off into the woods with an iPad, chuck that in the bag, and you pretty much got, you've got the ability to input stuff. Looks like it could be pretty cool, and also it's small. I'm just thinking might be something you'd be interested in because it's got a speaker. I know you like synths with speakers in, right?
Yeah, I mean, no. I wouldn't hold out much for that speaker. But yeah, it looks. I mean, it does look very toy-like, doesn't it? Its whole but by that token, it's also going to be nice and easy and accessible. I think there's a very small OLED screen on there as well, isn't there? So
yeah, there is a little one.
The names of things. So what's brilliant about that is it's going to be so many people's first instrument, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I think, but it is kind of making me think maybe it's like the modern. It hasn't got any sampling in it, has it? That's just,
no, I don't think so. It's got drums.
MPK.
It's got, I think, 10 drum kits.
That's the next step, though. I think make one of them, make a little sample of one of them, and that can sample directly into it, and you can sort of that would fly. I think
it's Volca territory, this, isn't it? But with more controls. Yeah. I mean, Volcas are what? Volcas are about what, 100 quid, something like that.
So no,
similar.
A little bit more now.
A little bit more. So similar price,
yeah. Well, it offers a lot more than a Volca. This does. It offers.
Well, Gaz, really? It hasn't got a sequencer. It hasn't got motion sequencing.
But I have been having a big Volca session. I've got the complete set of Volcas now, getting ready to make a kind of ultimate Volca rig. So the Volcas are groundbreakers, though, really are. So
they were.
Were. But this, we don't know much. Do we know how much about it? Do we know? Has it got a sequencer in it?
No, it's no, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think
it's mostly just a controller. It's designed
controller
to be used
and
as
sound.
Controller,
yeah,
but it's got built-in.
I like the way
sound,
that video starts, isn't it? With the hold on, where is it? It's the let me just. It's this that tiny little keyboard stand. He's sort of making sure it's not going to fall off. I quite like that. I think that's quite funny. But yeah, I mean, just in time for Christmas. Could be if you've got kids who are looking at it, or you just want to kind of dip your toe.
Well, I think it's just, like controller keyboards that by the very nature of them are not instruments in their own right. They always have to be connected to something. So it's really nice that this little thing can have a life of its own, other than just being sort of, being a slave device. It can be its own thing. So that's pretty cool. Korg did it a couple of years ago, didn't they, with the tactile and it had the Triton
that's right.
sound set in it. So
didn't really kind of come off for them though, did it? Quite in quite the same way.
It was horrible. I bought one. I sent it back. I thought it was awful. For me, I really, really didn't like it. But it's this is so cheap. I mean, what do you say? It's $120.
It's $129, so it'll be probably about 120 quid.
Yeah, blimey. I mean, because as a controller, it's very capable, isn't it? It's got pads and that's got a little joystick on it as well, isn't it?
Well, look, hold on. Tactile 25 is only 110. Let's not dismiss the Korgness there, because that's actually full, and that looks like full-size keys, and you get pads and an XY pad and a little scribble strip thing.
That's not the Triton one, though.
Is it not?
Built in
damn!
It has to be the tactile Triton.
I'm looking for it. I'll see how much that one is. I didn't want to.
I called it the tactile Trite one.
Oh dear! Really? Let me see if I can find it.
I did.
Okay, yeah. Well, the 49, that's a bit more. That's 240 quid. That's nearly twice the price. So yeah, okay. I beg your pardon. Not quite the same thing.
But then that Triton sound set is highly regarded by a lot of people.
I mean, how many? That's got to be 10 years old now. Yeah. Triton, maybe more.
More. No, Triton's 20 years. Yeah. Triton's
okay. Never mind. But I mean, anyway, it could be a good entry point. But there was this other thing that came up, and I just thought, because we so often sort of see and kind of cringe a little bit at the sort of cheesy videos that synth makers make. Not a lot of people are making really cheesy ones, but there are so many cheesy. When you look back, what about this one? This one is awesomely cheesy. I just want a comparison. So this one's a bit more expensive, but let's just see what you think about this one.
So you want to be a rock star? Well, then get your hands on a Casio CZ101 digital synthesizer with its multi-temporal MIDI capability.
It's all in VHS goodness.
Casio PD sound generators. This isn't just a synthesizer. Oh no, it's a rocker launcher.
That's not cheating.
Casio digital synthesizers with Casio PD sound.
Sorry, Gaz, what was that?
That's not a cheesy video. I'm completely sold by it. It looks great.
You can still buy them secondhand on eBay if you want. I think that was the CZ101, which actually we forget probably was quite a very groundbreaking synth at the time. That's back when, because Casio, when I was starting out, before before you could buy any kind of synths, there were a load of keyboards that Casio made that had kind of quite contemporary sounding synths, back in the day, we are talking quite some time ago. And so, you would buy those. They were sort of halfway between the auto accompaniment and the full polyphonic keyboard. And I think it was the Caesar, I can't remember which ones they were. There was one, and there was sort of 2 or 3 presets that really, were quite contemporary, maybe some bass sounds or what have you. And I just remember this was a big deal because Casio must have sold, there's rumoured to have sold thousands and thousands of those. So, I mean, Casio was a really big player in the contemporary modern kind of keyboard market. I mean, they still are big. I'm not saying they aren't, but they haven't released anything that's kind of pure synth for a while now.
Yeah,
I guess
but they did some quite really cool things in the mid-'80s. They did that MIDI guitar as well, didn't they? That was a Strat type of. That was actually really good, though. I mean, it was a decent instrument in its own right. But I think it was an Ibanez guitar actually, but it was Casio. They're really cool. Wow. But what are we talking about? The Casio's legacy.
We were just. I just thought I'd throw that in there because it came up on Facebook. I posted it on the Sonic Facebook page, and I thought, I'll toss that into the topics without giving anyone any time to prepare.
But I mean, I'm of that age though, where the VL tone or whatever it is, the original ones, and da da da, that sort of thing.
Trio.
Yeah, but it was just like wow. It still seems really cool to me, the brand Casio. I'm still really kind of I think there's something they like that sort of cool Japanese something's the logo, everything about Casio. I should wear a Casio t-shirt, I think.
I'm going to have to give people a blast of Da 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 now in case so you've got a cultural reference here. This was a band, German band, I think they were. It was massive. This was number 1 in England, I think.
I loved it. It's great.
This was massive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that doesn't sound like a real. I've got one of those somewhere. I mean, that's pretty minimal, isn't it? Even for these days. I mean, when talking minimal techno, that is pretty much the definition of about as minimal techno as you can get.
Oh, it's brilliant. So that's one of my biggest influences.
Really? I
love it.
Okay.
From that age, I was just totally fascinated by that song.
Yeah, I just remember it was on primetime radio back in the day when I was a kid, definitely, and it was almost novelty, but it was quite art, I suppose. Maybe I don't know whether it was or not.
But it's I just love hearing German being sung as well. Just
there aren't many. It's one for the pop quiz, isn't it? Name I don't know. Let's say 5 German international hits. That'd be tricky. Obviously, Da Da Da.
No. Yeah.
Red Balloons.
Red Balloon. Scorpions, Winds of Change.
Oh, that's not in German though, is it?
No, sorry.
Kraftwerk.
In German.
Kraftwerk's got to be a couple of Kraftwerks that were in German, but yeah, it's hard, isn't it? We used to do that. We used to do that when I was touring. Is whatever country you're in, you have to name 10 acts from the country that anybody, so 10 acts that you could remember. And it was always a bit tricky to find. Holland was tricky. Holland was very tricky back then. A bit easier now. But Golden Earring, how about that? Now I'm rambling. Yeah, sorry, guys. I'm trying to fill the time.
No, it's good. I'm enjoying it. Those tunes, Golden Earring, Radar Love is just every time I hear that now. I mean, like that's from probably only a few years after I was born, but when I hear it, that is still thunderously exciting song. That is, it's just amazing. So I wonder if young people would like it, or whether they would just think it sounded like maybe like Glenn Miller would have sounded. I don't know. The amount of time has passed now, hasn't it? Sort of since the 60s and 70s. It's sort of, God, how old? I have to do the maths, but I mean, it's like really old people's music now. For young
Yeah,
people.
well, I suppose.
But the
okay.
Beatles,
The
a lot
Beatles,
of Beatles action, hasn't it? With the and interesting from a sort of music technology point of view, with the White Album's kind of 50th anniversary, and there's this big new box set of I think there's like 50 outtakes or something on there. Is it? I can't remember. I think it might be 4 discs. 6 discs possibly.
Is that good though? I mean, because you just sort of feel like the reason they didn't make it on the album was because the creative team involved with it at the time, you know, from the band up through the record company, decided those weren't good enough.
Well,
what makes them good enough now?
No, it doesn't make them good enough now, but it's a celebration of 50 years of their thing, and here's just a whole load of, you know, interest to the people who love the album, just to see how things.
Yes,
I mean, when you hear like sort of the Isha demos and this Six Music was doing a show with Martin Freeman a few days ago, and they were playing a bunch of the tunes. Well, I think they played every song off the White Album, but some of those demos, hearing the gestation of those songs is really, really great. I mean, it's not rewriting history in any way at all. It's in fact just opening
just
up
hearing the process. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Actually, that reminds me of tomorrow. Hopefully, there's some friends of ours are involved in a big Bowie tribute act, and they've been putting a show together. And I'm going to go and see it on Saturday night in Bath. But they've really gone to town. They've been remade the Aladdin Sane, and they've been re-recording it as well using a load of UAD stuff. And so they've essentially, in fact, the keyboard player posted his rendition of a piano solo. I forget which track it was, and the original pianist said that was awesome. That was the closest I've heard yet. So they're going to be putting a show. We're going to go and see them tomorrow at production rehearsals, where we'll see the technology, because they're doing a video wall. Everything's synced up. They're using, you know, some backing tracks, some loads of vocal. It's going to be so we'll get a rig rundown with them, and it'd be quite interesting to see that.
I just wanted to say one thing, just very briefly, on the Beatles, you know, and the sad passing of Jeff Emerick, who just died, I think, was it a week or so back, and you know, the enormous legacy, studio, incredible legend, really. I mean, he was Beatles engineer, wasn't it, from Rubber Soul Revolver onwards, and so just wanted to say that, really, because
absolutely, you know, it's very sad. There's just to flip things around again, if you could run the White Album through RX7, you would end up with another box set.
Yeah, I've just started playing around with doing something that's very, very naughty, using some tracks off Sgt. Pepper and trying to make the lyrics of Lovely Rita fit over Fixing a Hole. And it's like, oh. So you extract the lyrics out of one song and then move it in, and you can like do two waveform edits at the same time, so you can see. So then shifted all the notes.
Getting the phrase. You could use what's the other thing you could use for that? It's I forgot what it's
like
called.
Vocaline or something.
Vocaline, Vocalines would do that.
Yeah, that's true. God. So and the proof of concept of doing it is just, I wanted to make a video about it, but then I was thinking I'd probably be shut down on the copyright.
Maybe so. Well, if you don't monetize it, you should be okay. Because what happens
I don't monetize my channel.
Yeah, well, that's probably you'd probably be all right then.
Do you think so?
Well, I mean, they wouldn't take it down. What happens is if you have if you put copyright material in one of your videos, what happens is it's claimed by the owner of the copyright, and then they get any of the revenue that video then generates, rather than you.
I tell you what, though, it's going to mess up the algorithm, though, if they're like listening out for sort of for Lovely Rita and lyrics, from Fixing a Hole or the other way around. It's. I tell you what, though, when you do play with it, I've been sucking drums out of things, just listening to the drums and just going, oh, blimey, it's so cool. You know, there's slight artifacts, but those artifacts, you know, you can work with them. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
The juicy bits are there. And,
I'll tell you what it sounds like, Gaz. It sounds like your mic preamp is dying. It's doing that thing where it goes and there's a whining. It sounds like there's a bit of mic preamp kind of biz. I don't know whether that's the case or whether it's maybe there's a crackle on the input gain or something. Maybe it's all right. It's all right.
Oh,
It sounds like analog broke. Are you hearing that?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw. Ah,
you hear that?
Yeah, I saw the 48 volt light flicker.
Sounds like maybe there's a cable dodgy or something like that. Don't know what to say. Oh well, let's wing it. See what. Don't break anything.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Whoa.
I've got another video. Here it comes. This is the new, well, not so new, but it's a sort of power adapter that to run USB stuff and then amp it up to run like your Volcas, or in this case it's KOMA electronics gear. So you can plug a couple of power banks into it, and you've got sort of 2 channels of USB audio in, USB audio voltage in, and then you can run up to, I think it's 2 amps. So you can take them out of there. So this is the let's plug it all in. So this is one of their weird. So we get 1 power bank, and then you can add them together. So you could do truly mobile giggery. So it's got 4 outputs, or you could daisy chain. That's it, really. I mean, this sounds like Eraserhead to me. But yeah, so that's the idea behind it. I don't know whether I know, because you run things off power banks, don't you? Do you use, what's the one that you use? Do you use the I forget the name of the company that
Anchor ones? What,
no,
batteries?
not that. But my volts, the uprated.
Yeah. So yes, I do, and I'm still eagerly awaiting a ripcord when that finally shows, because that's...
Oh man, they're having some bad luck with that one, aren't they?
Yeah, it's taken, but it's coming. It is coming. So that would be, it is a bit of a dream then, isn't it? That whack it into one of those large capacity batteries, and what I've been finding, which is really interesting, that those batteries, the ones that are made so you can recharge your iPad, that you can just run things for a long time off them. I mean, like a bunch of pedals that are kind of juicy digital pedals. They'll
run a while.
Wow.
They'll run along. Yeah, well, they're big batteries, aren't they?
Yeah, big batteries. So it's like it's developed so much for that market that its usage in the sort of music world is still very... Yeah,
I always take a big battery with me whenever I'm traveling, just so that if my phone runs out and I'm, for shows or what have you. But I tell you what I did discover recently, that's this power supply, which is just a little figure 8 in, and then you've got high wattage outputs, two 18s and a 15, but you've also got a USB-C, so I could plug in. I could power a laptop off that, or an iPad, and then 3 high, so for charging phones and recharging batteries. And that means, because normally I'd be taking my MacBook power supply, I just need to take this then, and then I've also got those. You plug a MacBook into it, it gets really hot, but it will work, and it's quite small, so it means I'm taking less power supplies with me.
Yeah,
just for travelling. It's quite
awesome.
About 30 quid, I think these are. They're not terribly cheap.
What's the storage capacity on it?
Storage? Oh, it's not a battery. It's a...
Oh, sorry,
just a power supply.
Yeah.
But it means, because normally you'd be taking a number of power supplies, but this will do most things and also charge a load of things up really quickly because it's got high wattage out. It's called the PD/QC4 Plus, and it's a 60 watt version. So you get 60 watts out. Just thought I'd mention that. Handy. But the KOMA thing is KOMA Strom power bank. It's quite a lot of money, actually. It's €175, which seems like quite a lot, I suppose.
Yeah, but it does look fit for purpose, though, doesn't it? I think that does look very nice. And I mean, it is clearly to accompany their field kit and their field kit effects boxes. I think that's probably what's brought them into into existence. And I think that would be such a fun rig to have. And now with that power sorted, that is a very interesting direction that KOMA have taken, and I totally applaud it. So so this thing looks a bit expensive, but as I say, any field Kittian wouldn't be seen dead without one, I think.
Yeah, well, this one does 1.5 amps and one. What we 2.5 amps, 2 amps, and then split. What we actually need is who was it who said that? I saw it go past in the chat room. A 15-volt version. Then we can run the Dope for Dark Energy. We could run the Lifeforms SV1. There's quite a lot of 15-volt kind of desktop modular stuff so we need a 15-volt version as well.
Great, bring it on. Yeah.
I don't know if that's going up a bit too much or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's like certain things. Like I use this Roland amplifier. It's a battery powered one, a KC110, I think it's called. And I use AA batteries with that, and I'm always intrigued to see how long I can get that. And it works really well, actually. That it lasts for 10 hours, maybe. So that comes out on the road always, wherever I go. So I think I've talked about it before, but IKEA batteries.
Oh, they do Eneloops, don't they? Aren't they Eneloops?
Eneloop Pros. Yeah, and they're like £5.50 in Britain, so they're probably going to be the same, around $5, I guess. The Eneloop Pros, made in the same factory in Japan. People have compared them, and they got the same sort of discharge power. Like £5.50 for. It's such a bargain, so it's cool because, like, I think Eneloop Pros. I mean, they've come down in price now, but I remember when they were over 20 quid, and that was like
that's So IKEA actually, for all the stuff that they do promote kind of low energy light bulbs, and so the Eneloops, like, are they? Did you say they're £5? 20? 20 quid for a pack of 4, or according to this, IKEA ladder, and they cost £5, but they're basically about $1 each or £1 each, and they're 2500 nickel metal hydride. But the Eneloops, I think was it Yamaha technology? Was they something? Have they something to do with it? I can't remember if they back it, or they started shipping some of their devices with Eneloops. And the thing about them is they have very low memory, and they hold their charge for ages, and they don't have a memory. So when you empty their capacity, their recharge number of times is very high. Isn't that right with the Eneloops?
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's like a 7 to 10 year discharge. So they'll was it 75% at 7 years or something like that? They hold their charge for, because like rechargeable batteries are really rubbish in that respect, aren't they?
Yeah. That's so. The chat room just want clarification there. The IKEA ladder batteries are in fact Eneloop Pro.
Yeah.
LADDA.
Yes.
You can get them because Andy brought some back and he said, I can't believe it. They sell these at IKEA and they're really cheap, and they're Eneloops.
Yeah. And sort of some people there's some websites where people have found that. I think in fact someone's posted that in the chat room. What's that? Petapixel.com. It's got that feature. It's just so it's really cool for kit that needs. There
you go. 2450 milliamps. AA 2450. That's not bad. That's not bad for power rating. 550 for a 4-pack.
Beat the system.
Yeah. Right on.
It's cool.
But that was fun. Anyway, so the KOMA thing, if you need some other stuff, I should put that page back up. That's the KOMA Strom, and it's quite a cool business.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 USB inputs, and then you've got power switch, and then the outputs and whatnot. So there's loads
sort of style about it as well.
Yeah,
for such a utility boring device, it actually looks kind of cool.
Excellent. What was the other thing that I was going to look at? Oh yeah, did we see? That's what I was looking at. This was just news I spotted on the Korg page. Came out a couple of weeks ago, but in Berlin, Red Bull are sort of bankrolling the music festival, and part of what they're doing for the branding of the festival, and also a bit of Red Bull branding, is to cover the services in electronic music classics. So they've got some Korgs here. I think there's going to be some 808s and whatnot on the trams, which is an interesting idea. It's like the concept of synthesizer technology becoming part of urban culture in terms of to the public rather than, people who are into niche electronic music genres. And we saw that again with the shoes as well, isn't it? It's like we've reached now. Does it mean? Yeah, I think the question I put to this: does this now mean synths are part of mainstream culture? So that means it's all over, isn't it? Isn't that the point at which everybody goes, right? We need something new. Is that a is that a signifier for the end of electronic music as underground?
Nah.
Nah.
I just think it's no. But I think it is testament to design, though, isn't it? It's sort of that those things are iconic enough to be interesting enough. I know that the design is interesting enough that it could work in the mainstream. So I think it's really cool. I don't know. I thought I thought it looked really cool. I thought it was making me think of just like maybe 20 years ago, it had been, flaming guitars or something.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Look, Wagyu in the chat room just posted, and here's the roller ones. These are the the roller. Oh, that's the 808. That looks nice, isn't it? I like them.
What's not to like about that? Yeah.
God, cool. I hope they get them graphically accurate. Can you imagine the furore? People kind of like getting all uppity that they've moved a knob or two just for stylistic purposes. But yeah, there we go. And they look like originals rather than boutiques as well, which is even better, right?
So, very cool thing indeed. But I don't think that's anything. We are really well served for those things. I think that's the thing at this point in time now. Lots of iconic instruments that we were, dreaming about. Virtually all have been brought back now. In terms of accessibility. What hasn't, I wonder? Synclavier? Oh no, that's in the iPad. You can get that as an app.
Well, no, Synclavier, that's Synclavier V, isn't it? Arturia just announced the version 2, which has sampling and resynthesis and whatnot. So
yes, yeah. But what else is still just VCS 3s? Those aren't back in any sort of
not quite mainstream.
No. But most things are sort of, you're well catered for either by a very good emulation or a recreation.
There will be more. I mean, I'm sure Behringer will figure out a few to recreate and tease us.
The RMI.
What, the drum computer?
The piano one, the piano computer or whatever it was called, the RMI. Tony Banks used a lot. It's like a piano. It might have been like some sort of divide down thing.
Oh man, I'm looking at it as some sort of Java technology. So the search and the SEO on RMI is terrible.
But most things, though, you can, just things that are dreamt about, are accessible now. I say mostly in a virtual sense, but I just can't. I wonder what can we dredge from the past to kind of
to rekindle and pretend it's new again.
Yeah, again to get excited about
rediscover. Well, yeah, hopefully hopefully there'll actually be new stuff. But as we've discussed endlessly, it's that classic. What's the Tom Cruise, isn't it? You want the truth, you can't handle the truth. You replace truth with new technology, which doesn't have the same ring to it. And it's kind of like, you want new technology, you can't handle new technology. And you sort of can't, because it can't be so new that it's completely flying cars new. It has to have reference to what people are used to using, as we've talked at endless lengths about, I suppose. We
talked about the Glide last week, that sort of controller. I've been thinking more about that and thinking that I really think it is actually quite a good idea. So I'm intrigued to see if that will have wings.
You think, well, what would you, okay, so here's a question. Something like the Glide, what would you say that was really successful? How big would it be? Because I mean, I see that as incredibly niche.
It is niche, but I mean, like everything's, all musical instruments are kind of niche, really, if you separate them out, aren't they? I mean, sort of the Hurdy-Gurdy is niche. How many Hurdy-Gurdys do you think get sold a year?
Well, I imagine they're really expensive to make.
A lot, actually.
You think?
Yeah.
I'd imagine the difference.
They are amazing instruments.
It's funny. It's funny you should say that. My daughter came back from school yesterday saying, "Oh, they brought a hurdy-gurdy in for us to listen to." And she said it sounded dreadful. And I was saying, "Well, maybe no. I'm sure because I did a remix of Lorena McKennitt. Let me see if I can find that. Which I have to say,
funkiest sound.
Yes, but hold on. So she just couldn't believe that it would be anything. Let's see, Lorena McKennitt managed to. Which was actually, and this was I mean, I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet, but this was a #1 American record, and this has got a hurdy-gurdy on it to start with. So here we go. So there we go. That's hurdy-gurdy. That's that's mainstream hurdy-gurdy. But yeah, I think they're really difficult. They're really difficult to play because they're not. You know, it's not a skill. I mean, you have the drone, which is like you do that thing, don't you? And then you've got the pedal notes. But I don't know too much about them.
You can throw rhythms in and sort of like into the thing. Dung, dung, dung. You can make
you can accent it. Yeah,
you can make but the sort of note itself is if you like. Take a graphic EQ and take out a 30-band graphic EQ and take out everything but one band or 2 bands.
That's the note, is it?
Yeah, it's like
it cuts.
Yeah, so
the differential between that'd be interesting. Okay, so you have a fiddle and hurdy-gurdy duo. Where's the crossover? It's like pretty much the same.
They do sound great together, though. They do sound great because they do kind of battle out. I love it. I think it's a very emotive sound, the hurdy-gurdy. I love the non sequitur though into hurdy-gurdy conversation.
It is. We've got Fugu in the chat room says there's your title there. Hold on, there's your title there. It's mainstream. What was it? Mainstream hurdy-gurdy. I think that's going to be that'll be today's title. I think we'll put that in. I'm just going to type that.
It's a good. But that's the thing. Playing a hurdy-gurdy, you could never replicate that in MIDI. The way that your body physically interacts with it is a big part of the music that comes out of it. So if you were to take samples out of it, you're almost taking like when you watch someone play hurdy-gurdy, the watching of it is part of the enjoying it as well.
Okay, now sorry, you've got me. Now I'm on a hunt for a hurdy-gurdy contact sample library. So this is there is a hurdy-gurdy. This is the first one that came up. So they've got the SEO monopoly on hurdy-gurdy sample instruments. This is from Sonicstate Boutique Sampling, which I think would be fair.
Can you play it?
Let's have a listen. This is called Medieval Inn. That sounds pretty medieval. Boy, that cuts, doesn't it? Let's try one without. I wonder if there's any other stuff without the kind of. Let's see. That's just. I want to hear another. Wow, check this out. So that's basically that first. The hurdy-gurdy demo Medieval Inn has had 17,500 hits on SoundCloud. Wow. Okay, let's try another one. Yeah. There we go. Maybe not so niche. That sounds about right. I'm pretty. Maybe the hurdy-gurdy that I used in my sample had been treated because it sounded a lot more beefy than that. But hey, whatever. There you go, folks. There's a bit of hurdy-gurdy history and musical input.
Well, I've started gassing for that. I sometimes just start thinking about something that's been out ages ago, and then it get a little. Oh, I really fancy it now. In the Ravish Sitar by Electro Harmonics is an amazing pedal that turns well, it doesn't have to be a guitar; it could be anything. Into sitar, it creates loads of sympathetic resonances. It looks. It's
okay.
Really
I'm there. I'm there. Let's have a look. This one.
He's there. Yeah, it's been out years now, but it's a stunning thing.
Let's listen to it. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that would work on a track, I guess, wouldn't it? Or maybe part of a track.
That's the thing. That's the thing. But then, is there any shame in having pedals on a shelf just for the occasional?
Well,
use?
let's face it. I mean, we're a music technology podcast where I imagine some of our listeners may have a number of Eurorack modules or synthesizers they rarely even switch on, let alone use regularly. So, I mean, I think it is acceptable.
But also from Electro Harmonics, their new Mod Rex pedal is flipping brilliant. I mean, they've really used a lot of synthesizer influence on that pedal, and it's such a clever design. That one is. I reckon that would be a brilliant one to use with any equipment.
I'm just looking at it now. Oh, is that this one?
It's got
polyrhythmic modulator.
Yeah, it's tasty. 4 different modulation sections.
Okay,
it's got some clever features up its sleeve.
I have to say, Gaz, I don't get all that excited by modulation pedals. It's reverb or nothing.
Oh no, but this one is great. This one's all about rhythms, being able to on the fly because you've got 4 knobs which control those knobs at the top of each section control the division of the so they're all locked to the clock.
So it's a bit like the spin. Yeah. Right. So it's a bit like the Analog Solutions method of where you have the intensity of the different beats and you can turn them up so they will fill all of their quarters or all of their eighths or all of their 16, and you could change the density of the rhythm and change the rhythm. Is it something like that, or am I off the mark?
Not quite. No, that sounds brilliant. No, you can change the sync rate that they clock into. But the thing is, you haven't got any menus to dive through. You've got the 4 knobs there that you can reach. So you can get the different modulators doing different things rhythmically. But the middle 2, one of them is a tremolo and the other one is an auto pan. But it's clever. If you've only got just a mono in and a mono out, then rather than it being an auto pan, it becomes like a duplicate of the tremolo, but all of the wave shapes are inverted. So you can do cool relationships between two two tremolos. So very clever thinking. Whether that's going to connect with guitarists, I don't know, because this has got very synthesizer-y type of programmability in it.
Yeah.
But it is cool for synths though, because you can drive it off a clock as well.
It's got filters. It's got filters and stuff in it as well. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
good spot there, Gaz. Well, we'll stick that in the show notes, or people who have actually bothered to watch to the very end of the show will know what we talk about. I think that probably that feels like a good time to maybe wrap things up. And fair play to you, sir, for holding the fort with me for such a long period of time. That's a long show as well, and we managed to. As I said, it's like the Wednesday afternoon rambling club has just finished.
It's a definite ramblerama.
Yes.
But yeah, cool. Lots of fun. But I mean, it is the infinite conversation, though, isn't it? It's so much.
Exactly.
I meet fellow enthusiasts. It's like, whoa, and their partners are looking at us. They want to go, and it's like, oh, the infinite conversation. you can't get to the end of it.
No, I know what you mean. But before we do go, just a reminder that if you want to enter to win a copy of iZotope's excellent RX7 vocal restoration and manipulation tool, we're looking for the hashtag vocal removal as one word in the hashtag RX7 to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. That's via Twitter. So the hashtag vocal removal, one word, the hashtag RX7 to @Sonicstate and @iZotope Inc. And that will get you has to be twos up. See you later, everybody. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.